I just want to say greetings to one and all. Not going to be long, but there's another very important live about to take place. Get everybody enough time to get in. Let you know that I'm back. And as you can see, have my Trust Grandma shirt that came in fresh out the box. So I'm excited about that. And just wanted to go over a few things because I've been hearing a lot of talk about what should we call ourselves and what should we claim and who's not claiming this and you're not that if you're not this and all the rest of that. So I just wanted to break a few things down because I know there are some that are actually have decided that they are not going to respond to my intellectual video that I did on American Indian. Instead, they do 24-hour Jerry Lewis telethons and never name names. And they say things that are inaccurate to those of us that have been doing research for a while and actually listen to our grandmothers. But it may seem like some kind of scholarship or smoke from those that hate their grannies, beat up their mothers, and stole their mother's car out of the garage. So I'm gonna be real brief again because there's another live coming on a little bit later that I'm excited about, and I'm not gonna let the cat out the bag. But just sitting here and I'm looking at, man, why is a certain group so dead set on being Aboriginal? Nothing wrong with that. You're Aboriginal to what? You're Aboriginal to where? And this is why I put it in the title, and I'm gonna say it again. If you're just claiming Aboriginal, then you might as well stick to being called black. And this is gonna make some folks upset. But if you saying I'm Aboriginal, you saying that I'm just a Moor, you're just black. And we can discuss that a little bit later if you like, and I'll actually open up and be able to do a panel because because anyone that's dealing with Moors, they always say, "What's your nationality?" I'm a Moor. Moor is not a nationality at all. Aboriginal is not a nationality. But American Indian is a nationality because a nationality, the root word of that is a nation. So what nation do you belong to, Aboriginals? Just asking the question, just putting it out there. What specific, and this is why they get to this generality. When people always say, "Oh, that was us. Look at us on the paintings. That was us. This was us. And we built this and we built that." But they can never go into details and tell you anything specifically on what did your people do? What did your tribe do? What did your nation do? What did your confederacy do? They can never tell you this. And the reason why I delve into the historic park and the archaeology and anthropological part of it is because if you don't know who you are, then you're no better off than any of my former students who didn't know who their daddies were, and the teacher would ask them, "Hey, what did you do over the summer?" And they make up this grand story about, "Oh, my daddy took me water skiing and we did it." I'm like, "Okay, you stay right around the corner from me. And your daddy's in the pen. So how your daddy take you water skiing?" You making up all these stories, these generalized stories of that was us, this was us, we did this, and we did that. And again, that's why I go back to the murals of Bonaparte. Because there were people that looked like us fighting against people that looked like us. So which of those us's are you? We're going to start playing this game. As we know, the majority of the world is swarthy, still is swarthy. So I've looked at pictures of people, not the ones that you see on TV in Hindustan. I've seen the Aborigines of Australia. I've seen the Aborigines of Southeast Asia. So are they us too? So these are the questions that I'm just asking. I just really want to know. I'm just trying to figure it out. I want to make sure that I can come through. I see Bud No Sellout is in his house that he's driving. I want to make sure that I'm through loud and clear because I know some are listening, but they're afraid. So to actually say anything, and that's okay too. I understand. Like I say, because I'm not going to be long. And I'll put it out there in all chats, but it's amazing to me that I keep hearing all of this talk about Aboriginal. And Aboriginal is more important than Indian. Where did that ever come from? When again, I've already proven that Indian is older. The word Indian and what we call ourselves Indian is much older than Aboriginal. Aboriginal is a French word. So when we start talking about these words and start breaking them down, I can't find Aboriginal anywhere in what we would call the ancient language. I don't find it. I don't find it. I'm finding the Indios. Like I said, as I spoke with a Chiclera down in Puerto Rican, or you know it better as Puerto Rico, and saying, no, they don't use that word. They don't use that word. He said some people at the markets will use it when they're talking to the gringos. They'll use Aboriginal, but nobody calls themselves Aboriginal. They call themselves Indios. Indios, Tainos, Puerto Rican. They don't call themselves that. So now we're going to have to start breaking it down and looking at these people for who and what they are. Especially the ones that say that they cool with everybody. Are you cool with everybody? And what is the purpose of you being cool with everybody? Because, again, you cool with everybody, and I'm not shooting shots at this dude. I just use him as an example. You have a dude that's literally an Ethiopian monk that has been embraced as Aboriginal. Aboriginal to where? Because the last time I checked, Ethiopia is in Africa. That ties you back to Africa. That ties you back to Ethiopia. So what claiming Aboriginal ties you to this land? And this is why I say again, for those that, because I've been on the panel before, they say, I'm Aboriginal to the whole planet. I beg of you, gentlemen, and I say this with all sincerity, I will get you a ticket to Australia and tell them that you're Aboriginal to the whole planet. I will get you a ticket to China. I will get you a ticket to Pakistan. I'll get you a ticket to Europe. I'll even get you a ticket to Africa. And tell them the same thing and the same stuff that you're trying to pull over here in the Americas. It's not happening. Not on anyone's watch is this happening. So I come back again and I say again, when you are claiming Aboriginal, Aboriginal to what? Aboriginal to where specifically? Can we get some coordinates? If your vehicle breaks down and you ask me to come pick you up, you say, James Flames, I need you to come pick me up. Fine, I'll come pick you up. But the two questions I'm going to ask: one, are you okay? And two, where are you? So you're Aboriginal to where? That's what it is, the open-ended question. If you say, oh, I'm Aboriginal, That's still to wear. But if you say I'm an American Indian, there is no open-ended statement. That's definitive. I'm not here to start a war, but the war's already started. I'm not here to be divisive, but the divide was already there. Because you have a group of people that are sitting here saying Aboriginal, man, you won't find them calling themselves Aboriginal. Show me, please, 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 show me the tribe that call themselves Aboriginal. Please, I'll wait. But I can find a group of people that call themselves Auntie. Again, we already discussed that the Auntie Suyu. We already talked about that. And how are you going to explain to me how the Caribbean, which we know the Caribbean is all including what we call the Gulf states of Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, that's all part of the Caribbean because it was before it was called the Gulf of Mexico, it was called the Sea of Antilles. There's that auntie again. And for those that are slipping, let me put Antilles in the chat. Mm. Greater Antilles, Lesser Antilles, that those words are synonymous with Caribbean. Mm? We gonna keep playing these games. And as I said earlier, if I want to play, I take my kids outside. I'll take them to the park and play. I'm not gonna play with a grown man. Now, if y'all want to start a dodgeball league or softball league or flag football league, I'll join you and we can play. But I'm not gonna play these games when it comes to people that being identify who they are. Because again, you might as well label yourself black. Black to what? Yes, you have copper color skin, so you want to label yourself as black, but the black doesn't define your nationality. What's black? Same thing with Aboriginal. So when you're going around and saying, "Oh, I'm Aboriginal," and Aboriginal is more important than Indian, I tell y'all. I keep trying to tell y'all, you have a group of people that are trying to pull you away from who you are. The further and further away you get from your family, the greater the grip they have on you. I'm not equating them to a cult, but I'm saying this is what cults do. This is what gangs do. You cut you off from your family, and now we're your family. And you do everything we tell you to do, and as long as you do everything we tell you to do, we love you. We'll look out for you. But the moment you cross over that line, you're gonna find yourself by yourself. So I'm still waiting for someone to respond to Indian, Auntie, Indios. Not come in and try to talk about, oh yeah, but it's this word and trying to take you all the way to India. Because again, I've already proven that India, what we know the country as India, did not exist. It was called Bharat at the time of Christopher Columbus. So he couldn't have thought that he was in India when the land of India never existed. And he knew he wasn't in India. And as I'm going to release the clip again, talking to Chiclera Aunt Yoli, discussing that Columbus knew he wasn't in that land because again he took some of the Taino back to Spain. So he knew he wasn't in the land. He was describing the beauty of the Tainos. They're on that land. And again, I keep going back again. If we know the majority of the planet is swarthy, so you claiming everybody to be your relatives, everybody to be kin, then I'll send you on a one-way ticket to Africa. because then you can claim Africa. No problem at all. Because I really want to know. Because again, I know who I am and I know who my people are. So anybody that's trying to get me away from my people, I'm looking at you sideways. Because again, I want any more. Because you notice that and when I'm not knocking Moors, because of those some people that's who they are. I'm saying to those that don't want to do any research on genealogy and then want to throw out blanket statements and say, I'm a Moor, I'm Aboriginal, because I don't like my family, so I'm just going to throw a blanket statement. And again, genealogy gets you back into bloodline, because you can't grab any Aboriginal, and I use the word shout out to Sister Phoenix Moon. You can't just grab any Aboriginal, aka any black off the street, to give you a kidney if you need a kidney. Kidney got a match. And more often than not, what they tell you to do is first they tell you to start with a family member. Start with someone that is related to you. Start with your kindred. Hmm? Can any black person off the street just give you a kidney? Doesn't work like that. So I'm just gonna throw a blanket statement. Everybody, oh, you Aboriginal. You Aboriginal. Yeah, I'm Aboriginal. This is the whole planet. See how that works? No, I don't see how it works. Because again, this is the problem that we're having now. Because you're having black Portuguese, aka Africans, that were the black landlords of the Americas. Hmm? Your black Irish and all the rest of them that were coming over here. All you swarthy people that were coming over here, becoming the landlords. But y'all didn't do enough for history on that. Blending in, and now everybody's black. So I'm just asking the question. So what is the difference between what we call a white colonizer and a swarthy colonizer? Uh-oh, there's no difference. And if you're claiming you're from Lemuria, Lemuria was not the Americas, and the Americas is not Lemuria. If you subscribe to that, that still means you are a foreigner. So how are you going to claim the Americas when Lemuria was supposedly in the middle of the Pacific Ocean? See, this is where people don't ask. It's just like it reminds me of iRobot. When the hologram of the professor came up and Will Smith was asking questions, but he wasn't asking the right questions. And then when he finally started asking the right questions, then the hologram responded appropriately. We don't think enough to ask the right questions. If you're from Lemuria, you can't be an American Indian. It's not possible because you're from another landmass. Just like if you're from Africa, you cannot be an American Indian. You're from a different land mass. So you sit here and you're playing the game and you're looking around and you're trying to, oh yeah, but and trying to get slick, and there's no slickness to it. Again, this group is the same group that's saying, hey, they're saying we're Aboriginals, we're Moors. Tie Aboriginal and tie Moor to the Americas in the sense of what you're talking about. And then misinterpreting and misusing the Circle 7 Quran. Because you had New Jacks that came in the Moorish Science Temple and hijacked the whole thing. So now you're saying, because again, I'm not the best geographer in the world, but I know geology. I took geology in school, so I kind of know where the continents are, kind of know where the countries are. But people don't ask this question: Let's get off the Ethiopian monk for a minute. And let's go, if you're saying you're a Moor, ties you back to Mauritania. Mauritania, Mauritania is where again? Northwest Africa. So again, when Moors ask you, what is your genealogy? What is your nationality? American Indian. What is your nationality? I'm Aboriginal. Aboriginal to where? Because Greeks use the term Aboriginal. Italians refer to themselves as Aboriginal. There are the Aborigines, the Aboriginals of Australia, Oceania, New Zealand. So you're Aboriginal to where? Specifically. So these people, they want to try to be slick. And there's a crew that's trying to be slick. And when they say, because it's a dude in their crew who says, my mama never said I was an Indian. Well, she wasn't lying. Then he tried to tie himself to the Choctaw Nation. No, we're not doing that, son. We're not doing that, son. Because your mama told you you wasn't an American Indian. So stop looking to American Indians to bail you out. People all over the world keep waiting for the American Indian to bail them out. Whether in dealing with technology, whether dealing with athletics, whether dealing with entertainment, whether dealing with swag, aka culture, the way you walk, the way you talk. The whole world watches the American Indians culture and hijacks it. So much so, no one's even paying attention to the hijack, but these so-called slave movies that they keep making, if you're noticing, they keep getting Africans. And when I say Africans, they are getting Africans to play these quote unquote slave roles. Gee, y'all gonna keep watching the hijack. Y'all gonna keep seeing the hijack here in a minute. So when they sit here and they keep telling you, hey, I'm Aboriginal to where? And I know some are listening and they're probably not typing in the chat, but Aboriginal to where? That's what I want to know. Don't come to me with this whole planet. And that's why I say again, it's equivalent to me coming to your house and I'm going to take over your house. Now, how does that sound? Because I'm Aboriginal to the whole planet. So again, on these people that are using these so-called loopholes to be squatters. So what is the difference? Someone tell me the difference between an Aboriginal and a Moor. Because there is no difference based upon what they're teaching. There's a new group of Aboriginals, and then tell me what's the difference between an Aboriginal and a Moor and a Pan-Africanist. There's no separation. And like I said, I'm not. If that's who you are, then be who you are. But then don't turn around and tell the people this was us. It can't be you. It cannot be you. Because again, the murals at Bonaparte, at Chichen Itza, the carvings all over the islands, all over North, Central, and South America, are showing the battles that took place between these peoples, plural, that fought. And the people look alike on the surface. So again, I go back to one of the murals at Bonaparte. We know without a shadow of a doubt that the She people were the ones, because they had the garbs on, they were dressed in the jaguar gear and had all the emblems and symbolisms of the animals that were indigenous to the Americas. So who were the other copper-colored people? whose foreskins were cut off. And they're lying down on the ground in pain because they cut off the forefinger, the skin of the forefinger. Who are those people? So that's why I said, which one are you? Because they're both copper-colored people. They're both copper-colored people. So which ones are you? And again, who were these other black people, quote unquote, copper-colored people that were coming over that my great-grandmother talked about, that were talking gibberish, that she had no clue of what they were saying. And her mother had no clue of what they were saying. These were the stories that were given, the oral tradition that was given to us. So who were these people that looked like us on the surface, but were speaking gibberish, a language that she didn't know? Who were these black landlords? Who were these black Irish and black Dutch? Who were these Portuguese? Because again, when you speak to a Melungeon, now watch this. When you speak to a Melungeon and they tell you their history, they'll tell you that they are a triracial group. They will tell you that they are the offspring of European women and American Indians and free, not with the D on the end, and free Africans. So who were these free Africans? Because again, if all these Africans, now here's my kicker. If all these Africans were coming over here on these slave ships, then as a free African, why are you volunteering to go over on the land with people that look like you that are being enslaved? Didn't we deal with that with 12 years of slave? Didn't he know he was an African? I mean, I'm trying to figure that out. And now we're coming to find out that these so-called Africans, why they Afrikaners, white people, and these so-called West Africans were Portuguese. Oh, snap. Which is why, again, they keep giving you the picture of, oh, the British took a Portuguese ship, and then you finding out, hey, the British didn't really take over or even try to take over the Atlantic until such and such a date. When you're looking at what the British did, you're saying, wait a minute, this is over 100 years. So how are the British doing these things with these 20 and odd Negroes from this Portuguese vessel that the British got? And come on, son. The British were not controlling the Atlantic like that at the time. Again, they had to get permission to sail the seas, and you'll find out that the Caribbeans, the pirates of the Caribbean, were controlling the waters, aka the Itza, which is why I say again, and I say again, if you don't know the names of these people, of these families, if you don't know the names of these tribes and these clans and these nations, these confederacies, if you don't know who the people were that made it up, then of course you're just going to generalize. But it gets down to specifics. And I say again, when it's time for the roll call and you don't know who you are, and you're supposed to be over there with your group, you scrambling around. You're fidgeting, you're sweating. You're like the last kid picked for the dodgeball game. Nobody wants them on the team. That's you guys. Nobody wants you on their team. So you just scrambling and running around and hoping somebody picks you. And then when you're the last one left, and somebody's like, oh man, I'll take them on my team. Because you don't have a choice. Because you're the last pick. The last one to be selected. You are the last draftee of the NFL draft. That's you. Nobody wanted you. Like, oh, we're just going to pick him. That's what you're doing. So you're telling people that are too lazy to do their own research, to find out what's going on, and to do their genealogy, because it takes a little bit of work to do your genealogy. You also have people that'll work with you, but you can't say, "Hey, my dad's name was Jim Johnson." Okay, Jim Johnson from where? What was his brother's name? You know how many Jim Johnsons there are? Because I know I come people like, "Oh man, this is his name is John Smith. Help me with my genealogy." Dude, you got to put in the work, because that's your genealogy. We'll help you get on the right path, but I'm not gonna sit there and do the work for you. You got to get up. You got to do a little traveling. So I say again, when you're dealing with dudes that haven't been anywhere, they can't come up, they can't go out the block, they can't get out the porch because their ankle bracelets will start beeping, and they're trying to tell you who you are in general, and they're not being specific again, because each tribe had a specific job. That was dealing with them. It was passed down. It was an apprenticeship going on. You go, it was all tied into that particular tribe. These dudes never start breaking down what they were and who they are. Like I said, I know specifically, I know that I'm Choctaw, Yawani Choctaw. I know that my people, my family is Rabbit Clan. And I know Rabbit Clan were the medicine men. So I know specifically, I can go into details on things and showing and tracing all the way back to dealing with the Rabbit Clan. And if you look at the Rabbit Clan on dealing with the sheep, you will see that it is the rabbit that is in the lap of the Great Mother. Because the Great Mother is whispering into the ears of the rabbit. But hey, that's just my clan. If you Wolf Clan, you know specifically what your clan consisted of. But we can't have those discussions because we're talking in general. We can't get down to where the rubber meets the road. This is equivalent, and I was having a conversation before, this is equivalent to those that go to school, go to college, go to university, and they get a liberal arts degree. A liberal arts degree, there is no concentrated field that you're in. It just shows you went to class and made the grades to graduate. A liberal arts degree is equivalent to a general education degree. You took some classes and you passed them, but there's no concentrated area of study. So when you say you're Aboriginal, you're liberal arts. You cannot pinpoint anywhere. You the guys that come in, like on Poetic Justice, when Tupac and all them were looking for something to eat and they saw their family reunion. Y'all the dudes that come in like, "Hey, Cutting Ray, how you doing, Cutting Pookie?" And you go fix a plate. And people are looking at each other and say, "Well, who are they related to? Who are they folk?" And they can never tell you. They done got their plate, then ate your food and left. Come on, son. We can't afford to keep doing this anymore. We can't afford to keep playing like this anymore, because as new people are coming on the scene and they have questions and you leading them down that path and you say, "Oh, we did all this and that was us and we did that." No, specifically, because again, there were people that looked like us that were fighting against people that look like us. So which us are you? And again, find me the tribe that says we're the Aboriginal tribe and we've been calling ourselves Aboriginal for thousands of years. You're not going to find it, but again, you'll find the Greater Antilles, The Lesser Antilles would lead you back to the Antisuyu, Indian, Andes, Indios. So again, that's why I put the clips up. I keep putting more clips up in the interview, like I said, because this was days of just having conversation, and some of those I didn't want to, as you can tell even by the snippets, I didn't want to interrupt Aunt Yoli's flow. So a lot of it I didn't even get to record, but days of just having a conversation, conversations, plural, just talking. So you gonna tell her she's a liar? Hmm? She's telling, you gonna tell her that she's a liar when she says no, we don't use that word? Because I asked her specifically. I said Aboriginal, Aborigine. She's like, no, 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 we don't use it. We're Indios. And you keep saying her saying Indios, Indian. She'll say Puerto Rican, Puerto Rica. You'll keep hearing her using those words over and over and over all throughout our talks. 2 weeks of conversation, no Aboriginal. So, again, I go back to, and I say again, where are we with all of this? I want to know. I really want to know. And don't come on here, and I'm going to say it again, because here's the problem. And I'm going to put it out there for those that may be just listening. What happens is, there's going to be a response, but it's really not going to be a response. They're going to talk in generalities. They're not going to be specific. And then they're going to say, who wants that smoke? Knowing they have others and myself blocked. No one's blocked from this channel. So all you have to do, because all of them have my phone number, all you have to do is reach out to me and we'll actually go live and have a panel. As I've said before, we can have a scholarly debate, because I didn't put out the initial challenge. They did to me. I didn't put out there, and all of a sudden they disappeared, and all of a sudden then the subject changes. Because again, when you're dealing with people with ADHD, they can't stay on task. They'll disappear for a couple of weeks, and then they'll come back and pick up a whole new topic without discussing what went on before. Because they don't tell you guys. They don't tell you guys they have us blocked. They'll put out all of these challenges and all of these charges out, and who they want to debate, who wants smoke, and who don't want that smoke. And I've always said scholarly debate, scholarly conversation. And then you got, within their crew, oh, I don't debate, I teach. Who do you teach? What have you taught? Please, I want to know. 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours of nothingness. Nothing that anybody can go back and take anything tangible and say, you know what? This got me on the search of who I am. It goes back again. Brother Malcolm X said it best. Who are you? You don't know? Or better yet, let's go back to John Hancock. Will Smith. I don't know who I am. And then he scratches his head like a little monkey. I don't know who I am. You woke up with a stick of gum and 2 tickets, Boris Karloff, Frankenstein, because you don't know who you are. And that's why I said it gets back to no conflict resolution skills. Because if you've seen the movie Hancock, you'll know he was like a wild animal, living out on the street, sleeping on the bench, very barbaric. Why? Because he didn't know who he was. So this is what we have in this so-called YouTube community. You have people that have no clue of who they are, but want to declare themselves leaders and gods, because a God knows who they are. You can't declare yourself a leader or a god if you don't know who you are. I love Stevie Wonder's music. I love Ray Charles' music, but none of them will be able to drive me to the bank. The blind leading the blind. Love their music. But they're not driving. They're not. I'm not getting in the car with them. With them behind the driver's seat. Come on, son. Come on, son. So if you want to keep playing, we can. Like I say, I'm done. I'm done playing games. Again, the video is out there. Not trying to promote my channel, but all you have to do is I broke down Indian, broke down American. I don't know what else to tell you, but again, if someone says and they go, anybody else that you talk to, I'm gonna put it like this. Somebody says, "Who are you? What is your nationality?" You know, people say, "I'm Irish," right? I'm Anglo. I'm Anglo-Saxon. I'm a Spaniard. I'm Portuguese. I'm a Celt. I'm Dutch. I'm I'm Mandarin. I'm whatever the case may be. I'm Japanese. I'm Australian. See how we can keep going? I'm Ethiopian. See how let me keep going. I'm Egyptian. I'm Somali. See, when you start asking, but then when you get to that group, I'm Aboriginal. Then you got the dude with the cheesy face, the emoji, the gift that you see, and he's got the three question marks by his head, looking real cheesy. When it gets to Aboriginal, all of a sudden then the question mark, because everybody else ties themselves where? Back to a landmass. So I keep saying, and I'll say again, you want to have this discussion? We can have it on a neutral platform. Pick your neutral platform. Don't block the people that's coming with the information. Because again, you blocking is actually getting back to you limiting yourself. Not hurting me, not hurting others that you blocking. But when you turn around and you try to make these declarations that you put out all of these challenges and nobody responded to your challenge, then you need to be completely truthful and tell the people in your audience, your crew, your followers, your fan club, that you have us blocked. Until then, we can't have these discussions. Because what is there to discuss? You're going to have a one-way conversation? Because I put it out there, went into detail. I have even more information, but I just want to get you enough. And then you claiming to be, if y'all saying y'all detailed researchers, then if you're a detailed researcher, you should be able to show the information, putting it out there that you're Aboriginal, and this is why we should all be Aboriginal. But again, Aboriginal to where? Aboriginal to where? If someone says they're Catawba, I know who they are. If someone says they're Garinagu or Garifuna, I know who they are. If someone says they're Choctaw, Chickasaw, I know who they are. I'm still trying to, if someone says they're Creek, I know who they are. Someone says they're Seminole, I know who. Oh man, I really want to do a build on Seminole. I discussed this before on the Cobb Grand Rising show. Cobb, unmute yourself. I know he's getting ready to hit with a heavy live stream, so I'm not going to be on here too much longer. But we already talked about Seminole, and the Spanish was the transliterated word from semi. So again, Nick Cannon was right. He was just in the wrong area. The semi. And when you start breaking down the semi, again, so when people say, I'm gonna put this nugget out here, when people say you're being anti-Semitic, what does that really mean? Because you have a group of people that are claiming that everybody's anti-Semitic, when they're not Semitic themselves. They're not semi themselves. Because again, as I put on the little snippet in the interview with the Chiclera, semi. The Semi symbolism was all over the Americas, still is. These Semites, these Seminole, which is why you find the Seminoles along the Gulf region, because the Gulf region is the Caribbean, the Antilles, the Sea of the Antilles, the Sea of the Indian, the true Indian Sea, the true Indian Ocean. Because how could the Indian Ocean be over there in what we call Southeast Asia when the land of India wasn't existing at that time? Find out when they started calling it the Indian Ocean. But over here it's called the Antilles. Still breaking it down, calling it the West Indies. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know how else to bring it to you. And then you find out who Semi is and who Semi was, and then come back and talk to me, and then you're gonna tell me Papa Legba being West African. It's not happening. Not when Semi was first. Not when the Lord of Death was here first. Not when the Kissing, one of his names is Kissing Bush. I already talked about Kissing Bush, which is going to find that very rare. Again, if you just put in Kissing Bush, you're going to pull up my videos on Kissing Bush. The Kissing Bush are the Semis, what they call the Black Devils. And then take a look at the person that you call, everybody knows about Santa Clausin. But then take a look and study Krampus, and then go back and look at Semi. And then tell me what you get. So who are the true Semites? But we don't want to talk about that. But like I said, again, getting into the language, when they tell you the language of the Semites, and it breaks down the people of the region that speak the Semitic languages. Like I say, Nick Cannon was right. Just had it in the wrong context. Find out who the Semis are, which goes back again, but I said the ancient language that it's not the name that it was called, but they still call it Paleo-Hebrew. What is Paleo-Hebrew? Well, on Hebrews, Semites. Uh-oh. And then the language that's over here. That's why I said breaking it down again, even talking to a person. I can say, I don't speak Spanish. I took 2 years of French. I don't speak Spanish. But I understand what they're saying, because again, 85% of these words are what we would call ancient Mayan words, or what the Dons or the Chicleros, the elders, the wise ones would call it in modern terminology as pre-Maya, saying they came before the Mayans. So if they're telling you this language, and they gave it the language of Paleo-Hebrew, saying there's old Hebrew, again, while you get back to Ladino, Latin, Ladino, these words came from here. 85% of the words. And they always tell you, oh, no, origin unknown, origin unknown, origin unknown. But the people are still using these words today, especially when it comes to foods. All you got to do is look at your food. The majority of your foods, the words that haven't changed, come on, son. Don't let them fool you, son. 85% of these so-called Spanish words, Latin words, come from the Americas. But you think it's called the Latin lands. Come on, son. Mason-Dixie line, everything that was below the Dixie line is Latin language, Latin lands. And I'm not talking about dealing from Spain. I'm talking about dealing with the language, because the words didn't change. The root words don't change. They mean the same thing. Don't let them fool you. All these cities and all these towns have a mayor. That's a pre-Mayan word. Look up mayor. It's a pre-Mayan word for the rulers, the principal rulers of their district or area, their region. Come on, son. But we gonna keep playing this game. But I'm not playing anymore, because the game is over. You're like when you play 21 or you play horse, and you win the game, and the sword loses. Oh, let's play another round, and you keep playing, and now y'all don't play 5 or 6 rounds, and you don't beat them every time. Oh, let's go best of 7. Dude, I already beat you 5, so I've already got. Oh, let's do best of 11, and they keep going. This is the game that keeps being played. You keep beating them, you keep serving them on their own court, at their own sport, and they want to keep playing again until they finally win. Come on, son. We should be better than that right now. Because I haven't seen any writings where it says, oh, these Aboriginals, we got the Aboriginal tribe here, and we're gonna acknowledge or recognize this Aboriginal group of people. Come on, son. You might as well say again. You might as well stick to black. Go back to black, because black and Aboriginal means the same thing. Because if you're Aboriginal to the whole planet, and the whole planet was swarthy, then anybody that's swarthy is you and you're them. Try to do the play on words, like I say, somebody in their crew that does that play on words, and I'll never refer to him as that. When he's already said, that guy, Waterman, when he's already said that his mama and his granny said they weren't Indians. That's all I need to know. Which there was a group of Aboriginals that said, hey, we're not Indian. That's all I needed to know. Because you, by your own admittance, have said, we're not the same. I didn't say it. Didn't come out of my mouth initially. I'm just echoing what you said. So I say again, as it was said in the chat, and I'm gonna give a shout out to everybody, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And for those that are riding the fence, like I said, when I hear cats meowing and screeching also on my fence, I get a brick and knock them off the wall. So pardon my French, stop pussyfooting around on the fence. Those are the worst ones that ride the fence. I'm cool with everybody. No, and I remember this way, and no one is telling you, hey, don't participate in their chat. I'm not saying that, because there is a group that they say, oh, I saw your name over there in Doodoo's chat, so you can't come over here and say anything on my chat, in my panel. That's not me. That's childish. But I will say, when they're doing wrong and you don't say anything, that's why I have the problem. When you got dudes taking money, claiming that they're doing research, claiming that they're going to present a product, and they never do. Come on, son. We've seen Judge Mathis enough. I told him I was going to pay him when I get my income tax, but in the interim, you flossing. You going to the casinos gambling, but you owe me money. Come on, son. You done bought a new Cadillac with cherry wood polished interior, but you still owe me money. Come on, son. You done took all your wives out and bought them stuff and you splurging. You getting the penthouse suites at the 5-star hotels, but you still owe me money. Come on, son. Either give me the money back or give me the product. Come on, son. Which is why y'all should see on my screen, you see the Trust Grandma. That's my Trust Grandma shirt that came in. So again, as I promised before, I'm going to show my face with my Trust Grandma shirt on this weekend. So people can say, show your face, doo-doo. And people that don't show their face, and show me your face. Like you Clayton Bigsby, huh? You want to see my face? Is that what you want? Huh? With my Trust Grandma. What did Grandma tell you? Did Grandma tell you wasn't Aboriginal? Did she say that? Or did she use the word Indian? You say, you got Indian in you, baby. So the thing is, that's their way of saying, and that's the way I always equate it. If they say, baby, you got Indian in you, that means you are Indian. Because how can you have something in you that's not you? But if she say, baby, you got Aboriginal in you. You got Aborigines in you. Did she say that? I'll sit back and I'll wait. Because again, if you saying you're Aboriginal, but you pushing Moorish material, then just say, hey, I'm a Moor. Because again, the Moors have, man, they got thousands of channels out there and thousands of revenue. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. But then when you come again on somebody else's block and you setting up shop, because we're the first ones to get mad when somebody sets up a shop, sets up a convenience store on the corner in your neighborhood and they not from there. Hmm? You're the first one to get mad when somebody, a foreigner, sets up a cleaners on your block. First one to get mad when those foreigners open up those hair salons and nail salons. Y'all the first ones to get mad, but you the first ones in there. But you're mad. You cussing the man out over the counter. While you giving him $5 for a rotten banana, but you mad. You walking around here like little Bow Wow on roll bounce. Now you're mad. Like somebody got up early this morning. Early. That's what I'm talking about. Now you're mad. So I'm just trying to figure out, are we going to trust grandma? Or are we going to go with dudes that, jacking they grandmama's Social Security check? Still living in the basement, playing Mortal Kombat and stealing your granny's, Medicaid and Medicare and all those benefits. You using all that. But then won't pay the light bill with the money. You still in a check, but you won't even pay the light bill and the water bill. Is that how we doing? Y'all go down to the local swimming pool to take a bath because the water turned off because granny's thinking that you paid the water bill. Is that what we're doing? We over medicating granny while we still riding around in her car. Is that what we're doing? Puffing on L's all in her car with your hand hanging out the window like a gorilla scraping a knuckle scraping the ground. Is that how we're doing it today? Because I just want to know. Because if that's how we're doing it, then that's how we'll do it. So this, that Hollywood shuffle, I ain't be got no weapon. I ain't said nothing about nobody. But when the vibes, come on, son. And like I say again, what stayed private should have stayed private. But when you start trying to drop pellets in public, like you're not doing anything, and then you hide your hand, then no, I'm going to properly respond. Because I'm well within my right to respond. So don't sit here and be like everybody trying to rain on your parade and all this and that. All I'm saying is, I was all the way out in lane 8, minding my own business. You were in lane 2. You ran all the way from lane 2 all the way out to lane 8. And now you're mad because I'm spiking you in the head. What are you doing in my lane? How are you justifying that someone from Africa is in the same boat, literally and figuratively, with the American Indian? Help me to understand. Y'all help me to understand that one. When you can circumvent and go around and slither like a snake to try to prove that Ethiopians have a connection with the American Indian, but then say American Indians don't have any connection with American Indians, you're Aboriginal. Man, I'm trying to see, like I said, where they do that at? Where do they do that at? Because again, I am still waiting. And none of them that has admitted and said they're not American Indian, they said they're Aboriginal. None of them can show me that they're Aboriginal, and they're like, Aborigines. Okay, Aboriginal is the root, the Aborigines is the root of Aboriginal. So because it can be used interchangeably. So anyone that's calling themselves Aboriginal, It gets back to where? Where are you Aboriginal to? The whole planet. Okay, yeah. See how that works? Liberal arts. And it's awfully hard to get a good job with a liberal arts degree because they know you just sat in class, you passed the classes, but you have no area of concentration. Come on, son. That's why when you get your degree, it tells you, hey, associate of arts, associate of science. That's why it has a BA or BS beside it, or your PhD, and then it breaks down what it was it in education. So when people say there are levels to this, yeah, there are levels to this. There are levels to this. So again, do we have to keep repeating this? And I'm saying it very slow for those that ride on the short bus. Aboriginal is not older than the word Indian. And then Aboriginal does not tie you down to nationality, to who your family is. American Indian does. So I'll await a response. I know I'm gonna get a lot of people, they're gonna talk around and say generalities. They've seen the messages in the back chat. I put it out there purposely. Again, I won't flag your channel. You can literally take my presentation on what I did on the word Indian, and you can slow it down and chop it up, and you can do an 8-hour build on it. But then you got to come back and show me how Aboriginal fits in. How this French word of Aboriginal comes in. But I do know about Auntie. I do know about the Greater and Lesser Antilles. I do know about the Sea of Antilles. I do know about the Indians, the Indios, the Andes that are still there in South America. And I say again, I know I saw some in the chat that mentioned the Puerto Ricans that they say the Tainos tell you they come from South America, which is why they have the semis, which gets back again. I will come back sometime, probably tomorrow, but I will come and I will break down. Nick Cannon was right, but in the wrong context. And then when people keep saying about you anti, you know, anti-Semitic, and then you have to break it down and say, well, y'all are trying to exterminate the semi off the planet. You are trying to eliminate the Semites off the planet. And took your title and ran with it. Come on, son. The people of the feather. Y'all remember that. I'm gonna give my shout out, and then I'm gonna call it because I'm waiting for Cobb to unmute herself. Shout out to brother No Set Out. Shout out to brother Kerry Bay. Shout out to brother Joe. All the things your man won't do. Oh man, shout out to I'm Born here. Shout out to Sister Pamela Hall Pass. Shout out to Gabrielle Union, who still hasn't sent me my preservatives yet. Shout out to my man, Macadon One. Oh man. Shout out to Celestia Love X. Shout out to Brother Copper Indio, the Grudge. Shout out to Mike Easton, former quarterback of the New England Patriots. Shout out to the Light Hour. Oh, the Light Hour was going to say, call me Choctaw Jimmy. You must go way back in the day then if you call me Choctaw Jimmy. That means you somebody that knows me and I must know you, huh? Your icon look familiar, but we'll talk about that another time. You know where to find me. Yeah. Shout out to the Indy Ameri Seminole Indian. The reason why I said it, let me go back because I want to get to some questions before I end too. Is when he said that American can't be our nationality, our name was stolen when they started calling this place the U.S. No, I'm not even referring to, And that's why I want to break down. I'm not referring to the United States of America. We still have to keep in mind that it's North, Central, South America, or the Americas, including the Caribbean islands, or the Antilles, the Greater and Lesser Antilles, or the Americas. And that's why I even broke down to dealing with previous live that I did. It wasn't dealing with cotton picking Amerigo Vespucci. You'll find out that these American, where it comes from, again, it's the same region that auntie is from and the language. I broke that down in a previous video. So when I'm saying that, I'm not talking about the US, because I know automatically when people say, even when you go to other countries, they say, oh, you're American, because it automatically clicks that you are dealing with the United States. But we forget Canada, we forget Mexico, we forget all the Belize, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Brazil, Chile, Argentina. I keep going on and on. I keep naming Jamaica, Haiti, Puerto Rican, aka Puerto Rico, Trinidad, Tobago. All these countries are still America. So I wanted to clear that up. So when I say that there's not a when I talk about the American Indian, I'm not talking about the United States. I'm talking about this whole landmass, because really they say North, Central, and South America, but there was no division until the Panama Canal. It was man-made. It was all connected. It was all one landmass. So when I say the Americas, I'm still talking about that all of the Americas. And you'll find out again, the interconnection of the Mississippi leads you to the Amazon and leads you to the Orinoco River in South America, because they understood that we were people of the Great River, and that we travel up and down. That was our roadways, was the Great River. So I wanted to clear that up. I'm going through and I'm looking and seeing. Shout out to my main man, brother TMH, Thomas. Unmute yourself, Thomas. Good job, Thomas. Good job. Good job. No, it's been a minute, brother. I appreciate you. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Brother David Corey, man, I'm still waiting on you, man. We got to hook up. You know, No Grandma Killers Tour is coming to Tejas, coming into Indian territory, coming to the Wild Wild West. Wiki, wiki, wow, wiki, wow. Would you be here Labor Day weekend? Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it. Brother Copper, peace, 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 peace. Is that Miss Parker? Is that Miss P. Parker up in there? Oh man! Like I say, brother, Indian American, Ameri Seminole Indian. You got the right name of dealing with the semi. Like I said, I'm gonna have to take my time with semi, and like I said, these kissing bush. You're gonna have to find out these black devils. That everywhere you go, these black devils, they keep talking about these black devils, and being the mother civilization, and all these people that you think aren't us. But they'll tell you they are descendants of Kissing Bush, these black devils. See, the main issue is going off of skin type. Is where I go back to the beginning, and then I'll kill this live stream. Is there are people that we think aren't us because they don't quote unquote look like us, but they are us by genealogy. The problem that we're having is, as people that look like us, that we know aren't us, but are trying to convince us that they are us. Now, don't ask me to say that again. Just listen to that again, rewind and slow it down. That's the problem we're having. Because we don't see people that we would say, oh, this is a mixed person or whatever. They're not the ones saying, oh, we're Aboriginals and we're Aboriginal and they're not American Indian. The problem we're having is people that look like us that are trying to get on this kick of Aboriginal. Fine, call yourself Aboriginal, but Aboriginal to what? You say, I'm Aboriginal to the Americas because I'm an American Indian. And that changes the game. Because again, when you look up Aboriginal, look up Aborigines, because it's pale people in Australia that are claiming to be Australian Aborigines that are using the Aborigines passport. Come on, son. So you related to them too, since you Aboriginal to the whole planet, and they got their Aborigines passport in Australia. Come on, son. Let's stop playing this game. We're not playing anymore. The game is over. You lost. It's your ball. You can take it and go home. But we're not going to keep playing these games. Can't afford to do it. So, again, when they can't be specific, and I charge all of them, they're like, oh, but they never said anything. Send me your address. I'll come take over your house. Because with that philosophy of you being Aboriginal to the whole planet, that means everybody else has the same right. And I definitely know about these quote unquote Negro landlords that came over here. These Negro conquistadors that came over here. And we were treating them nice because they look like us. And y'all better find out what happened to Esteban, because he looked like the American Indians, and then they find out, oh, you working for the people over there. Find out what happened to Esteban. Read the writings of the Baca. Read the Baca's writings and find out what happened to the Negro, the Almora Esteban. When they find out was Esteban claiming Aboriginal back then. And the moment he declared, hey, I'm not one of y'all, I just look like y'all. Find out what happened to him. I double dog dare you. That's all I got to say. You remember again, all squares, American Indians, are rectangles. But all rectangles, Aboriginals, are not American Indian, the squares. Trust grandma. Grandma's not going to steer you wrong. Y'all need to watch that stupid movie with the guy that's always in the Adam Sandler movie where he was living with grandma. I can't remember the something. The grandma was in the title. And he was the video game maker. And the other guy stole his video and claimed it as his. And the only one that could prove that the video belonged to the rightful person was the grandma. And she defeated the dude in that game. Anybody remember that movie? Like I said, all the characters that normally in the Adam Sandler movies. Somebody dealing with grandma, and he was a video game maker. Y'all remember that? Oh, man. Anyway, grandma bailed him out. So I always go with grandma. Mama named Clay. I'm going to call him Clay. And with that, I'm off this cotton picking mic. Be good to yourselves and each other. Yep, there you go, Pamela Hall Pass. Grandma's Boy. That's everybody's assignment. Watch Grandma's Boy. And you're going to find out it was grandma that had to come bail him out at the end. So when in doubt, you better call on grandma, because grandma knows. Grandma knows. Listen soon, because Cobb is going to unmute himself a little bit later. Hopefully he's getting ready to do something. Y'all, we got a nice treat for y'all. Also got some nice treats for y'all for the No Grandma Killers tour when it's coming to Tejas, Texas, Indian Territory, for those that are confused, because Texas was Indian Territory. And I guess we'll discuss that when we get to this branch of the No Grandma Killers tour. So start getting your tickets. Advertisement is coming out soon. I told you once, I told you twice. Again, keep the Kenme Batumbo out of the lane. Because I'm going to dunk on them every time. Not in my house. Y'all keep letting the Dikembe Mutombo. Y'all know the Dikembe Mutombo's African too. Y'all know that, right? Y'all know that? Hmm? Y'all keep letting them Africans block the American Indians in these chats, and then y'all going buck wild. Practicing all these Saturnalia rituals and stuff. Like on the Matrix, that third Matrix, y'all remember that? Don't nobody know who's who. Don't nobody who's related to who. All I'm saying is you gotta know culture, horticulture, agriculture, and you'll understand it's all about the culture. But again, if you're talking in generalities, not being specific, and they telling you this was us, well, what is your culture? They never give you anything dealing with the culture. They'll show you a picture or two and say, this is us. What was the culture? What was Granny's? What did Granny say about your culture? Did your granny say you were African? And even when you read in the books, they say, oh, such was a slave, a former born a slave. They kept records. So what plantation and who was the slave owner? Because that was broken down before. They didn't have the word employees and employer. So if you're working on the land, even in modern terminology, when you go to work, people say, oh, I'm going to the plantation. Oops. And then figure out if all these people were slaves, because slave in the terminology they've taught us is you get no wages. So if you were a slave getting no wages, how is it that after the Civil War, that more American Indians owned land and had businesses than in any other time after that? We have less now as a people than we did then. So in order to build something, you have to have capital. So where did these slaves, quote unquote, that got no wages, where did they get capital from in order to purchase this land? Because like I said, my great granddad, I pulled up the tax records from Hall Creek. So how is this man, if he's supposed to be a slave, again, I ain't found a slave yet, never said he was a slave, because I keep finding Indian, and all the writings stated all my folk were Indians. And all the documents that I've been able to find. So in the Indians. So where did he get the money from to pay taxes? Come on, son. Where did he get the money to get the land? Come on, son. Owning horses and mules and cows and oxen. That's just from my family. But again, because I did my genealogy, still working on my genealogy, I'm not finished yet. I'm going back 17 generations, and I'm still trying to find these Africans. I can't find them. Help me. Think about it. All I'm going to say is, y'all better think about it. Y'all take care of yourselves and each other. And with that, I'm off this cotton picking mic. And I'm out.